On a dairy farm where that rural upbringing instilled in him a relentless work ethic. Brock Lesnar, the Beast Incarnate, once symbolized dominance like no other in WWE history, but lately there has been only silence. No earth-shaking entrances, no deafening roars from the crowd, just the emptiness of a ring without him, leaving fans to wonder where Brock has gone and what is really happening with one of wrestling's most fearsome competitors. And today we explore the latest chapter in his story, the fall of the Beast, because Lesnar, once celebrated across the WWE Universe for his strength, agility, and unmatched presence in the ring, now finds himself entangled in a scandal that has shaken both the wrestling world and the public. As serious allegations of sexual abuse and trafficking have cast a heavy shadow over his image, with the controversy beginning through a lawsuit filed by Janelle Grant, a former WWE employee who accused Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and Brock Lesnar of sexual abuse and trafficking, claiming that these high-profile WWE figures were involved in disturbing acts that included coercion into sexual relations and the sharing of explicit content. And while the lawsuit initially focused on Vince McMahon, WWE's longtime CEO, Brock Lesnar's name being tied to it has added an explosive and damaging twist to his legacy. And John Laurinaitis, a former wrestler turned executive, was also named in the lawsuit, where Janelle Grant claimed that Vince McMahon forced her into sexual situations and degraded her in exchange, for giving her a position as an administrative coordinator in WWE's legal department after first meeting her in 2019, and she further alleged that in June 2021, McMahon and another executive locked her in her office and took turns sexually assaulting her, before later locking her in his private locker room and forcing himself on her. And as part of her case, she stated that McMahon sent her explicit text messages as well as messages to other people in WWE about her, even providing screenshots to back her claims, including one where McMahon allegedly wrote, "I'm the only one who owns you and controls who I want to you," while also sharing explicit photos of Grant with others in the company. And when some within WWE showed interest in having sex with her after seeing the images, McMahon allegedly texted that she might scream or try to say no, but it would be difficult with something forced down her throat. And Grant also claimed that McMahon told her multiple times to go to Laurinaitis hotel rooms. She further alleged that McMahon instructed her to have sex with Laurinaitis before the workday, and later forced her in 2022 to sign a non-disclosure agreement, which required her to stay silent about her allegations and relationship with him in exchange for $3 million, a demand that Grant said came after Vince's wife, Linda McMahon, discovered their relationship. But according to her claims, the payments stopped after an initial $1 million, leading her to void the NDA and sue for unspecified damages. And in her lawsuit, she also stated that McMahon pressured her into creating personalized sexual content for a WWE superstar he was trying to re-sign. And while the lawsuit did not name the wrestler, Wall Street Journal reporter Kadar Safdar revealed that people familiar with the case identified him as Brock Lesnar, one of WWE's biggest stars and a former UFC fighter. And regarding Lesnar specifically, Grant claimed that after he signed a new contract, McMahon allegedly texted her, saying that part of the deal was her, and that McMahon had even given Lesnar her phone number. She claimed that Lesnar asked her to send him a video of herself urinating, and despite being married to former WWE star Sable, he allegedly told Grant he wanted to set up a playdate in December 2021, though those plans were canceled due to a snowstorm. And in the inclusion of Brock Lesnar in these allegations shocked the entire wrestling community, as the man known for his fearsome presence both inside and outside the ring was suddenly being portrayed in a completely different light, with the lawsuit alleging that Lesnar was not only aware of the abusive actions, but also took part in them, including accusations of coercing Grant into unwanted sexual activity and sharing explicit content. And the disturbing details painted a picture of behavior that, if proven true, would mark a dramatic fall from grace for Lesnar. And the case escalated further when Janelle Grant agreed to pause her lawsuit to allow for a federal investigation, with her attorney Ann Callis releasing a statement that Grant had consented to a request by the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York to stay her case against McMahon, WWE, and Laurinaitis in connection with a pending non-public investigation, a move that underscored the seriousness of the allegations. And with the potential involvement of other high-profile WWE figures, the federal investigation is expected to dig deeper into the allegations, searching for evidence that could either confirm or disprove Grant's claims. And the lawsuit has reignited scrutiny of WWE's internal culture and practices, with Vince McMahon, already a deeply controversial figure, now facing even harsher criticism for his leadership and the environment he allowed to thrive within the company. While the inclusion of a star as big as Brock Lesnar suggests the problem of abuse and exploitation may be far more widespread than anyone previously admitted. And for Janelle Grant, The decision to pause her lawsuit in favor of a federal investigation is a strategic move, giving authorities the chance to build a stronger case with more substantial evidence, while also sending a clear message about the seriousness of her allegations, which now demand a thorough and impartial review by law enforcement. And with the investigation expected to be wide-ranging, covering not only the specific claims against McMahon, Laurinaitis, and Lesnar, but also WWE's broader backstage culture, the outcome could carry massive legal consequences for those involved, potentially even leading to criminal charges. If the allegations are proven true, Brock Lesnar's involvement in the scandal has already dealt a devastating blow to his public image, as accusations of sexual abuse and trafficking have had an immediate and damaging effect on his reputation within WWE and the wider world. And the seriousness of the charges, combined with the high-profile names attached, has drawn massive media attention, with news outlets and social media buzzing over the case and further amplifying the negative spotlight on Lesnar. And the fallout has been both swift and severe as WWE, under heavy pressure to respond, has taken clear steps to distance itself from him, pulling him from all upcoming events and programming and effectively sidelining one of its biggest stars. And his absence from shows and pay-per-views has not gone unnoticed, with fans expressing shock and disappointment. While WWE has gone even further by stripping his presence from merchandise and digital platforms, removing his likeness and branding from the company's online store, any merchandise featuring him has been discontinued, and this move has also reached WWE video games, where his character has been removed or pushed to the background, steps that signal the company's effort to protect its brand by distancing itself from him amid the scandal. And because merchandise is a major revenue stream, his removal has caused a sharp drop in that part of the business. And with a federal investigation ongoing and no clear resolution in sight, his future in the company is uncertain as WWE takes a cautious wait-and-see approach, likely holding off on any final decision about his status until the findings arrive, which has fueled speculation about whether he will ever return to the WWE ring. And the long-term impact on his career could be significant, because even if he is ultimately cleared, the stigma from these allegations may be hard to shake, and a passionate fan base may struggle to fully embrace him again. Given the seriousness of the claims, and his personal life has also come under intense scrutiny as media and fans comb through his past actions and relationships, paying close attention to every detail that surfaces, and unfortunately, this has already revealed more than he or his supporters would have wanted. And this scrutiny has shed more light on Brock Lesnar's dark past, because this isn't the first time his name has surfaced in connection with sexual assault allegations, as Lesnar has been linked to several troubling incidents over the years, and back in his OVW days he got into serious trouble with management and his colleague Jim Cornette after harassing Cornette's then-girlfriend and fellow wrestler Sin. And in an interview with Wrestling Shoot Interviews, former OVW manager Kenny Bolin recalled that Sin had just gotten a piercing and warned Lesnar not to put his fingers near it during a planned spot where he was supposed to lift her. But Lesnar went further and put his fingers inside her, leaving her furious and prompting her to tell Cornette, who stormed out to the parking lot, confronted Lesnar, and even threatened to shoot him in the kneecaps, saying that would be the end of his wrestling career. And later, Terry Runnels, a former WWE manager and the then wife of veteran wrestler Goldust, also spoke publicly about her disturbing encounter with Lesnar, telling Vice in an interview that when Brock was still very new to the business, he exposed himself to her backstage at the Insurrection pay-per-view, recalling how she was doing interviews when she suddenly heard her name being called, and Brock was in the room along with Dustin, my ex-husband at the time, and Brock went through with the whole act. But I no-sold it and went straight to my dressing room, and when Dustin came to me, he told me not to sell it. And I said I wasn't going to, because I wasn't about to make it bigger than it already was, but looking back, I felt his behavior was completely disrespectful, especially towards someone with my level of experience in the business, saying that she would have much rather Brock not show such disregard for a woman who had been in wrestling for so long, and noting that even then he knew he was destined to be given the strap and hold power. Yet she'd already put years into the business and deserved better, and with this spotlight on his past conduct, the current case becomes even more complex as Lesnar now faces not just legal challenges, but the harsher trial of public opinion, and the consequences stretch beyond his individual career, as WWE's reputation itself takes a hit with Vince McMahon and other high-profile names caught in the allegations, intensifying scrutiny of the company's leadership and culture. But beyond the controversy, it's also important to look back at Lesnar's beginnings and the journey that made him into the intimidating figure known as the Beast, as his story from a small farm in South Dakota to becoming one of wrestling's most dominant stars is remarkable. Since born on July 12, 1977 in Webster, South Dakota, he grew up, and that farm life gave him not only a relentless work ethic, but also a level of physical toughness that would come to define his athletic career. Because from an early age, Lesnar was used to long days of hard labor that built his powerful physique. And wrestling quickly became his passion as he showed natural talent on the mat during high school, where he stood out as a dominant athlete and after graduation, he attended Bismarck State College, where he continued to excel, his skill earning him a scholarship to the University of Minnesota, one of the nation's premier wrestling programs, and it was there that his talent truly exploded, as in 2000 he captured the NCAA Division I Heavyweight Wrestling Championship, cementing his place as one of the top amateur wrestlers in the country. And that success laid the perfect foundation for his leap into professional wrestling, because his combination of raw size, power, and technical ability made him a natural fit for WWE. And in 2000, he signed a developmental deal with the company before making his official main roster debut in 2002. And from the start, it was spectacular, as he was billed as the next big thing, and he wasted no time living up to the name with his first matches, showcasing astonishing strength and dominance, and his mix of raw athleticism and sheer power set him apart from nearly everyone else on the roster. And within just a few months of his debut, Lesnar pulled off a remarkable feat by winning the King of the Ring tournament, a victory that instantly launched him into the spotlight. And later that same year, he faced one of the biggest challenges of his career when he went up against The Rock for the WWE Undisputed Championship at SummerSlam 2002. And Lesnar stunned the world by defeating him to become the youngest WWE champion in history at just 25 years old, a victory that showcased his meteoric rise and undeniable talent. And his in-ring style quickly became defined by his brute force and explosive energy, with signature moves like the F5 and the Kimura lock striking fear into opponents. Yet despite such a historic climb, the story of Brock Lesnar has now taken a tragic turn, because the Beast Incarnate, once the embodiment of dominance in WWE, has recently fallen into silence, with no earth-shaking entrances and no deafening crowd reactions, only the emptiness of a ring that leaves fans asking where Brock has gone and what has truly happened to one of wrestling's most intimidating figures, as his latest chapter unfolds under the shadow of scandal that has shocked not only the wrestling community but the world. And the scandal has spilled far beyond wrestling into the public spotlight, as it centers on serious allegations of sexual abuse and trafficking that have badly tarnished Lesnar's image, with the controversy beginning when former WWE employee Janelle Grant filed a lawsuit accusing Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and Brock Lesnar of participating in disturbing acts that included coercing her into sexual relations and sharing explicit content. And while the lawsuit initially focused on McMahon, the longtime WWE CEO, and Laurinaitis, a former wrestler turned executive, Grant claimed that McMahon forced her into sexual situations and humiliated her in exchange for a job as an administrative coordinator in WWE's legal department after meeting her in 2019. And she further alleged that in June 2021, McMahon and another executive locked her in her office and took turns sexually assaulting her, followed days later by another incident where McMahon allegedly locked her in his private locker room and forced himself on her, with these accusations forming the foundation of her lawsuit. She further alleged that McMahon sent explicit text messages about her both directly and to others in WWE, even providing screenshots as evidence, including one message where he allegedly wrote, "I'm the only one who owns you and controls who I want to you." And she claimed he also shared explicit photos of her with others in the company, and when some expressed interest in having sex with her after seeing the images, McMahon allegedly responded by saying she might scream and try to resist, but wouldn't be able to with something forced down her throat. And Grant also stated that McMahon instructed her on multiple occasions to go to Laurinaitis' hotel rooms and have sex with him before the workday. And she further claimed that in 2022 she was pressured by McMahon to sign a non-disclosure agreement requiring her silence about both the allegations and their relationship in exchange for $3 million, pressure that she said came after Vince's wife, Linda, discovered what was happening. But according to her lawsuit, only $1 million was ever paid, leading her to void the NDA and sue for damages. And she also alleged that McMahon forced her to create personalized sexual content for a WWE superstar he was trying to re-sign. And while the lawsuit did not name the wrestler, Wall Street Journal reporter Kadar Safdar noted that sources familiar with the case identified him as a high-profile talent, but described him as both a UFC fighter and WWE talent people familiar. With the matter identified, the wrestler as Brock Lesnar, one of WWE's biggest names regarding Lesnar. Grant claimed that after Lesnar had signed a new contract, McMahon allegedly texted her, saying that part of the deal was McMahon had allegedly given Lesnar her phone number, and she claimed that Lesnar had asked her to send a video of herself urinating. Lesnar, who is married to former WWE star Sable, allegedly told Grant he wanted to set a play date in December 2021, but a snowstorm canceled the plans. This inclusion of Brock Lesnar in the allegations shocked everyone in the wrestling community. Lesnar, known for his formidable persona, both in and out of the ring, was now being painted in a vastly different light, according to the lawsuit. Grant alleges that Lesnar was not only aware of the abusive actions, but also actively participated. In them, this includes accusations of sharing explicit content and coercing Grant into unwanted sexual activities. The details of these allegations are both graphic and deeply disturbing, suggesting a pattern of behavior that, if proven true, would mark a dramatic fall from grace for Lesnar. The case then took another turn when Janelle Grant agreed to pause her lawsuit while a federal investigation moved forward. In a statement released by her attorney, Ann Callis, she explained that Grant had consented to a request from the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York to stay her case against McMahon, WWE, and Laurinaitis in light of a pending, non-public investigation. This move highlighted the seriousness of the allegations and hinted at the potential involvement of other high-profile WWE figures. The federal probe is expected to dig deeper into the claims, seeking evidence that could either support or disprove Grant's accusations. Meanwhile, the lawsuit has sparked renewed scrutiny of WWE's internal culture and practices, with Vince McMahon, already a highly controversial figure, facing mounting criticism for his leadership and the environment he cultivated within the company. The inclusion of a star like Lesnar in the allegations suggests that abuse and exploitation inside WWE may be more widespread than once believed. And for Janelle Grant, pausing her lawsuit in favor of a federal investigation is a calculated strategy aimed at building a stronger case with law enforcement oversight. By allowing federal authorities to take the lead, Janelle Grant hopes to secure stronger evidence to support her claims, and this decision underscores the seriousness of her allegations, signaling that they deserve a thorough and impartial review by law enforcement. The federal investigation is expected to be wide-ranging, looking not only at the specific accusations against McMahon, Laurinaitis, and Lesnar, but also at WWE's overall backstage culture, and the outcome could carry major legal consequences, potentially even criminal charges for those involved if the allegations are proven. For Brock Lesnar, simply being named in the scandal has already dealt a crushing blow to his public image, as the accusations of sexual abuse and trafficking have instantly and severely damaged his reputation, both inside WWE and in the larger public eye. The seriousness of the charges, combined with the fame of those accused, has drawn massive media coverage, with news outlets and social media filled with discussion about the case, further amplifying the negative publicity surrounding Lesnar. The fallout has been swift and severe, with WWE under mounting pressure to act, taking decisive steps to distance itself from him, beginning with removing him from all scheduled appearances and upcoming events, as his removal from programming has effectively sidelined one of WWE's biggest stars, and his absence from shows and pay-per-view events has left fans both shocked and disappointed. On top of that, WWE has moved to erase his presence from merchandise and digital platforms, pulling his likeness from the company's online store and discontinuing all products featuring him, with even WWE video games either removing his character or reducing his prominence. These actions highlight WWE's effort to protect its brand by cutting ties with Lesnar amid the scandal, but they've also caused a steep decline in merchandise sales, one of the main revenue streams for its top superstars. With the federal investigation still ongoing and no clear resolution in sight, WWE has chosen a cautious approach, likely waiting for official findings before deciding Lesnar's long-term status. This limbo has fueled speculation about whether he will ever return to the WWE ring, and the potential consequences for his career are huge. Because even if he's ultimately cleared, the shadow of these allegations may follow him, making it difficult to fully restore his place in wrestling history. Even if the investigation were to eventually clear him of any wrongdoing, the stigma tied to these allegations could be nearly impossible for Lesnar to escape, and the wrestling community, with its passionate and loyal fan base, may struggle to ever fully accept him again, given the gravity of the claims. His personal life has now come under intense scrutiny, with fans and media dissecting his past actions and relationships in search of patterns, and unfortunately, this renewed focus has unearthed troubling details from earlier in his career. This is not the first time Brock Lesnar's name has been linked to sexual misconduct, as he has been involved in multiple scandals of this nature in the past. Back when he was in OVW, Lesnar reportedly got into serious trouble with management and with Jim Cornette after harassing Cornette's then-girlfriend and fellow wrestler, Sin. In an interview with Wrestling Shoot Interviews, former OVW manager Kenny Bolin recounted how Sin had told him she had just gotten a piercing that day, and during a planned spot where Lesnar was supposed to lift her, she warned him not to touch the area because it was sensitive, yet Lesnar ignored that and deliberately crossed the line. And during that spot where he was supposed to lift Sin over his head, she warned him clearly not to put his fingers anywhere near her because she had just gotten pierced and the area was very sensitive. But Brock Lesnar, according to the account, not only ignored the warning, but actually put his fingers inside her, which left her furious and led her to report it to Jim Cornette and Danny Davis. Bolin recalled that Cornette completely lost control, stormed out into the parking lot, and confronted Lesnar directly, even threatening to shoot him in the kneecaps and end his wrestling career right there. Terry Runnels, a former WWE manager and then wife of Goldust, also later spoke about her own disturbing encounter with Lesnar. In an interview with Vice, she said that when Brock was still new to the business, he exposed himself to her backstage at the Insurrection pay-per-view. She explained that she had been conducting interviews when she heard her name called, and upon entering a room where Brock and Dustin, her then husband, were present, Brock went through with the act. Runnels said she no-sold it and went straight to her dressing room. And later, when Dustin told her not to sell it, she agreed, saying she wasn't going to escalate it. She reflected that his behavior was deeply disrespectful, especially toward a woman with her experience in the business, and emphasized that Brock already knew he was destined for a powerful position while she had been in the industry for years and deserved respect rather than humiliation, and she added that his blatant disrespect was completely unnecessary, especially towards someone with her years of experience in the business, saying she would have much preferred that Brock not act that way toward a female who had already proven herself in wrestling, and noting that he clearly knew even then that he was destined to be given the strap and hold a powerful spot, while she had already put in years of work and deserved to be treated with respect. This heightened focus on Lesnar's personal conduct has made the case even more complex, as he now faces both legal challenges and the judgment of the public, and the fallout extends far beyond his own career, placing WWE's reputation under fire as well, with Vince McMahon and other major figures included in the allegations, drawing intense scrutiny toward the company's leadership and culture. Yet in the midst of these controversies, it's also important to remember Lesnar's beginnings and the journey that built him into the intimidating presence known as the Beast, Brock Lesnar's rise from a humble farm boy in South Dakota to one of the most dominant forces in professional wrestling is remarkable. As he was born on July 12, 1977, in Webster, South Dakota, and raised on a dairy farm where that rural upbringing instilled in him a relentless work ethic, and with that upbringing came a level of physical toughness that would go on to define his athletic career. Lesnar's early years were built on hard work and dedication, as life on the farm meant long days of labor that helped him develop an imposing physique. From a young age, he showed a natural gift for wrestling, a sport that quickly became his true passion, and throughout high school he honed his skills on the mat, standing out as a dominant competitor. After graduation, he attended Bismarck State College, where he continued to excel, and his ability earned him a scholarship to the University of Minnesota, one of the premier collegiate wrestling programs in the country. It was there that his talent reached new heights, as in 2000 he captured the NCAA Division I Heavyweight Wrestling Championship, cementing himself as one of the nation's top amateur wrestlers. That success laid the groundwork for his jump into professional wrestling, because his blend of raw size, explosive power, and technical ability made him a natural fit for WWE, leading him to sign a developmental contract with the company in 2000. He signed a developmental deal with WWE in 2000. And by 2002, he officially debuted on the main roster in spectacular fashion, promoted as the next big thing, and from the start, he lived up to the hype as his early matches highlighted his immense strength and surprising athleticism, instantly setting him apart from everyone else. Within just a few months of his debut, Lesnar achieved a huge milestone by winning the King of the Ring tournament, a victory that catapulted him into the spotlight. That same year, he faced one of his greatest challenges when he took on The Rock for the WWE Undisputed Championship at SummerSlam 2002. And Lesnar shocked the world by defeating him to become the youngest WWE champion in history at just 25 years old, a moment that proved his meteoric rise and undeniable talent. His wrestling style was built on brute force and explosive intensity, with signature moves like the F5 and the Kimura Lock becoming both fan favorites and devastating weapons that terrified opponents. His matches were fast-paced and hard-hitting, showcasing his ability to dominate even the most experienced stars. And throughout his initial WWE run, he found himself in unforgettable feuds with some of the company's biggest legends, including Kurt Angle, The Undertaker, and more, and Big Show. But it was his rivalry with Kurt Angle that truly stood out, producing several all-time classics including their legendary clash at WrestleMania 19, where Lesnar captured the WWE Championship for the second time. That match is also remembered for his attempted shooting star press, which he famously botched. But even in failure, it showcased his rare athleticism and willingness to take risks far beyond what most heavyweights would ever attempt. Lesnar's impact on WWE during that period was undeniable, as his presence brought a level of intensity and realism that felt different from anything the company had seen, and fans were drawn in by his raw power and dominant performances that often left opponents completely dismantled. By 2004, however, Lesnar shocked the wrestling world by walking away from WWE to pursue other opportunities, starting with a brief stint in the NFL as part of the Minnesota Vikings before transitioning to MMA. In 2008, he signed with the UFC and immediately made waves in the heavyweight division, quickly building a reputation as a dangerous competitor. His MMA career was highlighted by major achievements, including capturing the UFC Heavyweight Championship in 2008, and his crossover star power brought countless new fans to the sport, with his fights ranking among the most watched events in UFC history. His bout with Frank Mir at UFC 100, for example, became one of the biggest pay-per-view draws of all time. Yet despite the success, Lesnar's MMA journey was not without its challenges.
People from Webster, South Dakota will tell you the Lesnar family were fighters. And so I grew up 6 years younger than my two older brothers who were getting out of jail on Monday mornings to go to school because of street fights and you know. So I grew up with that stigma.
Lesnar explained that this process is necessary for him because it's simply part of who he is, making it clear that after his performances, he prefers to step away from people and spend time in isolation, which allows him to decompress and regain balance before returning to the spotlight.
Because if I'm in front of an audience, then it just exhausts me, and so I gotta go and recharge up.
The former world champion also spoke about his family background, revealing that it was marked by frequent street fights. And growing up in that kind of environment played a big role in shaping his early life and building the tough exterior that would later define him. And he said those rough experiences hardened him and prepared him for the battles he would face both inside and outside the ring.
I have a total crash after being in front of audiences. I go hibernate in Saskatchewan, and I my downer is the anxiety from all that is takes me a few days to recover.
How long has that been happening? Forever?
Forever, yeah, it's been that way.
According to him, the stigma that followed him and his family for always being seen as fighters who got into trouble had a major impact on the kind of person he became, as his upbringing in a rough fighting environment shaped his outlook on life and career, and his experiences brawling alongside his brothers gave him the resilience and toughness that became his trademark. Though the anxiety he continues to battle serves as a reminder that even the toughest individuals carry hidden struggles. Beyond these personal challenges, Lesnar has also faced several controversies throughout his career. Starting in 2001, while still in WWE's developmental system when he was arrested for suspected possession of illegal substances, though the charges were later dropped once it was revealed the items were not illegal, but the incident still brought negative attention to a young wrestler, no more for his relentless work ethic and discipline. Another major controversy came in 2016 when he was flagged for a potential anti-doping violation after his victory at UFC 200, where he tested positive for clomiphene, a banned substance often used to counter the side effects of steroids, leading to a 1-year suspension from MMA and a fine. Yet despite these setbacks, Lesnar managed to maintain successful runs in both WWE and UFC, proving his ability to overcome obstacles and remain a dominant force in combat sports. And with that, we wrap up. So if you enjoyed this video, click one of the cards on your screen right now for more content. Thank you for watching.